Hello Memphis! This is Blake again from the Business and Science Department at the Benjamin L. Hooks Central Branch Library. In these times when food is starting to be a little bit of a concern for a lot of us, I think it's a great time to start thinking about planting a garden. This is the perfect time to plant a garden. We're just starting spring. First day of spring was, I believe, yesterday. And so here I am with some tips on how to start your own vegetables. I'm going to do two separate things here. First off, I have some seeds that I have given a little bit of a head start. I have just, really any container. These are just some old food containers. And I have put a little bit of water and I have put some seeds in there. These have been soaking for about 2 days. This just gives you a little bit of a head start when it comes to starting some seeds, because if you just plant them directly in your little peat pots that you can get from various stores around town, if you just put them into the peat pots, you got to soak them, and then it takes, depending on the seed, it might take 7 to 10 days, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. So if you soak your seeds beforehand for a day or two, it gives you just a little bit of a head start, and the seedlings should show up just a few days earlier than if you had not done something like this. And by the way, when it comes to getting your seeds and your peat pellets and other planting and gardening items, I strongly encourage going to the local places rather than the big chains, especially during this time when we're concerned about our local businesses. So what I'm going to do, since I have all of these seeds in the water, they'll be a little easier to deal with if I get them out of this water. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but some of these are lettuce seeds. This is butterhead lettuce. I don't know if you can see it or not, but some of these have been soaking for long enough that they have a little bit of sprout on the bottom of them. That's perfectly fine. You can still plant these. But I'm going to sift these out of the water, so it'll make it easier for them, to plant them. Gonna bring my peat pellets. These peat pellets come to you flat, about like that. They are discs. They're about that tall. You soak them in water and then they puff out like this. So I'm gonna take my tweezers and I'm gonna take about 2 or 3 seeds per peat pellet. Put them in about 1/4 of an inch. If you plant them too deep, you might not get a very good result. Move this forward a little bit. Now, after I put these seeds in here, I'm going to want to keep it well watered. You need to either, probably at this point in the year, it's not a good time to put them outside yet, because we may have another frost. But if you have a well-lit area, maybe a big window, maybe if you have some lights, it is helpful sometimes once you get to the point where this is all planted, you can cover it with something clear, cellophane, something like that. If you have some sort of light, like a fluorescent light, it's great to put it really close up on that light. And again, that will help germinate the seeds. So here I have, these are just some kind of green bean. It's a Blue Lake garden bean. I have 6 of these. That's a little easier. I probably didn't need the paper towel for that one. I'm just gonna, I don't even need the tweezers either. Just gonna poke that down in there. Obviously I don't need all 6 of these. I can take these home and put them in the ground. You can do both of these kinds of seeds. You can do a lot of seeds, a lot of vegetable seeds in pots. You want some pretty big ones. One warning though about putting vegetables in containers, especially once it starts getting hot, you will need to water containers much more than you would need to water, like if you put it on the ground. It just requires more water. It evaporates much more quickly. So I'm going to put just a little bit of this water and get these wet again. They still were a little wet from when I first expanded them, but you just want to keep this wet. It's hard to keep it too wet. Obviously water's going to make them grow, and then once they get to what they call, when they first sprout, they're going to have these two little leaves. They don't call those what they call true leaves. You will be able to notice most of the time when you have any sort of vegetable, when the true leaves grow, they usually have a little bit more, they're a little bit more fancy. Maybe they're jagged, or maybe they're a particular shape or something like that. The first leaves that come out from a sprout are usually very basic. They're just little round things. A lot of seedlings, when they first come out, they look just the same as any other seedling, which is also a good reason to label your seedlings so you'll be able to tell them apart. But once they get to the point where you have some true leaves and they're starting to get some size on them, you can take these peat pots. You see, that looks kind of like a zipper or something. This will just peel right off. You dig your hole, put it in there. You don't want to do it too deeply, but you dig a hole just big enough to put this in, drop it in, cover it up, and there you have your garden. Whether you're putting it in the ground or a container, it's a great way to get your vegetables started. I want to show something else to you. It's also very easy, probably a fun thing for the kids to do if you want to get them involved. I'm going to make some seed tape. It makes it a little easier, or sometimes a lot easier, if you have some sort of seed that is really small, like lettuce seeds, or here I have some tomatillo seeds. You will be able to see these seeds are really small. Tomato is also a great one to make seed tape with because the seeds are real small and thin and very papery. So I'm going to show you what these tomatillo seeds look like, and you'll see why seed tape is a good idea, because these are so small that it is easy to lose track of them. If I can get this envelope open, look how small those seeds are. They're very thin. They're just kind of hard to deal with. So, put those right there. This is just a simple paper towel. I have some double-sided tape. You could probably use just about any kind of tape, but I have found double-sided tape is great, and you'll see why as this goes on. All right, so I'm going to put this tape down in the crease. If you look at the package, it will tell you how deep you should plant your seeds and how far apart they should be spaced. So this says 1/4 inch deep, and they should be 3 to 4 inches apart. So I have my ruler. I'm going to take my tweezers, do my first seed right about there, and then I'm just going to go along. I'm going to go with 3 inches. I'm going to put these 3 inches apart, if I can pick it up. So I have 4 seeds here. They're spaced about 3 inches apart. I've cheated a little bit just so I can fit them on this width. So now I'm going to fold this over, and of course you can make it as long or as short as you want to. One of the biggest advantages of this is once these seedlings grow out, you're not going to need to really thin them at all. Sometimes when you're planting in a row, if you just make a trench and put seeds in it, you will find that some of your seedlings grow too close to each other, so then you have to thin them out. You don't necessarily have that with this method. So now that I've folded it over, I'm going to make a note so that I won't get my seed tapes mixed up. I'm going to put tomatillo, and I'm going to say 1/4 inch deep, and I'm also going to put on here, because I'm not a carpenter, I don't know how short 1/4 inch is just by looking at it, so I'm going to give myself a little cheat here. 1/4 inch is that right there, so I know to put it about that deep. And now I'm just going to cut it out, and then I can use some of the rest of this paper towel for some more tape. So this is a great way to start seeds in a way that is convenient and helpful for you in the long run. Now, typically, under normal circumstances, you could come here to this library or any one of our libraries across town, and you could get a book like this, Seed Starting, with all sorts of great tips, everything you would need to know. Of course, you know now you can't come into the library, so we have a great option. We have, through our website, a gardening and horticulture database, and it has all sorts of great gardening information. Here's just one article that I pulled up. I searched seed starting, and it gave me an article, Best Tips for Starting Seeds. This is from Mother Earth News in December 2012. That's just one hit out of many, many, many that I could get. The way you get to our gardening database is you go to memphislibrary.org. It's going to look just like this. You go up to the top where it says Learn. You're going to get a drop down, and under Databases, you click Databases A to Z. The first 6 or so are, it's like the top 6, the most popular databases, or the top 9. Once you see all databases, it is then alphabetical. So go down to G. Let's see, Garden, Landscape, and Horticulture Collection. I just click Access, and I'm there. You don't need any sort of password. You don't need a username. You just need to be somewhere in the state of Tennessee, and you can use this database. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with us on Facebook, and we'll see you again soon.